What's going on, guys and gals? Chris, the Bonafide Hustler, coming to you live from the inside of my office. Today's show, I'm going to show you items to thrift that make money on eBay. So welcome to my channel. I'm the Bonafide Hustler. On a part-time basis, I am flipping things that I find from estate sales, garage sales, yard sales, flea markets, pawn shops, swap meets, big box stores, and thrift stores. I put it on places like eBay, Amazon, Craigslist, my antique booth, and other consignment stores in town. I'm one of the co-owners of the greenroomuniversity.com. Go check it out. It's the second link down below. In this show today, I'm going to show you a small haul that I did on Saturday. And these items, majority of them, are destined to be on eBay, and some few ones are going to be on FBA or Amazon. So welcome to the show, and I'll get kind of right to the content. If you're lucky enough to find this or see this show when it's live, there is a feed that you can be interacting with me on. But outside of that, if you enjoy the show, just hit the like button. Okay, so I'm going to show you in no particular order. That's a very small haul, okay? But I'm going to show you things that we found. My brother found 3 things that are in this haul, 4 things actually, and then I found 1, 2, 3. Okay, and the third thing, you might be thinking like, holy crap, you only found 3 things on Saturday. The third thing, okay, is pretty significant. So anyways, I probably did find something else. I always forget to show you guys something on the broadcast every single time. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing. Anytime you see a mouse like this, these are good for graphic design, Corel Draw, all that kind of stuff. But these are basically trackball mouses, or there's an actual term for it. But yeah, essentially, if you see this kind of stuff, it's likely made by Microsoft or Logitech. This one right here is made by Logitech. This is called the Trackmaster or Trackball. Whoops, the actual little ball came out. But this one's called a marble mouse. They make a trackball one. They make all kinds of different ones. The wider and fatter that they are that you see, the higher the chances they're maybe a little bit more expensive. You might find them with a red ball inside. You might find them with a blue ball inside. So this one we scored for $2. On FBA, on Amazon, this one actually resells and gives a check of about $17 to $18 with super, super low rank. They're very easy to test too because they have a USB in or out. I would say USB out. So you put this into your computer. A lot of computers do auto downloads of drivers, and you can see if this thing, goes around based upon that. So you should definitely check these things out. I find that if you pay attention to Savers thrift stores in those little baggies on the wall in the electronics section, you might be able to find stuff like this as well, because I've found definitely a fair amount through those little bags that are at Savers on the wall. So there's that right there. Now, when this past Saturday, we would have had a much bigger haul, but there was just no, there was rain. Okay, so there was rain in the forecast. There were a bunch of garage sales that were supposed to go off, and if you have an app called Yard Sale Treasure Map, you can see with a pin drop kind of thing, like where all the garage sales are. Well, we went to 3 garage sales, and each one of them had, like, they were thinking about opening the garage. Like the people were like right there, but and then one of them, the person was like right there, and we walked up, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't know whether to open up my garage sale or not. I just don't want people in my garage. I want the stuff out, but it's raining, so that sucked." And that one was closed down. The other 2 is just you drive right by them and they're not going on. So a couple of those, we did 3 of those, and we realized, what, even with a little bit of rain, like people just don't feel like putting their stuff outside. So we switched our mode. We adapted. We could have just just done stupid things the rest of the day. We could have just gone somewhere and got coffee and done other work, or gone somewhere and just hit up our breakfast tacos early here in Austin, Texas. But no, we were like, we're gonna switch the mode a little bit, and we're gonna switch it to pawn shops, and we're gonna switch it to thrift stores. And the big find that you're gonna see at the end of the broadcast was actually, I want to say it's a let go deal. So that's pretty interesting too. And you're gonna be like, what the hell? Like, I don't get what is that thing, right? So you'll see. The last one's really, really cool. Okay, so we went to pawn shop mode, and that's a mode that I used to like really, really, really be into, and I'm gonna honestly tell you guys that I miss it, and I kind of want to be back into it a little bit. So I'm gonna go back into pawn store mode. I wouldn't say considerably this year, but I'm gonna make it a point to roll it into it's a proximity thing. If I find a pawn shop that's like semi-close or really close, I'm going to go into it, because there's some fantastic stuff at pawn shops, and those people always work a deal with you. So we went to a pawn shop in eMoney, and this thing's working actually, by the way. There it is. You can see it, the screen. He pops on these flip video things every now and then. They have 3.5 out of 5 stars on Amazon. You can sell them on eBay too. Probably sell them for like $50. We bought this one for $4.98, I want to say, something like that. And you know, eMoney tested it. This is the one that takes 2 AA's, I want to say, or I think it's something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, it's an HD flip video camcorder with a little USB out thing, so you can bring your data right to a computer if you want to. There are many different models of these. Okay, the crappiest ones are probably going to yield you about $30 in return, but this one right here, actually, with decent rank, is going to yield somewhere between $70 and about $76. And decent rank being, it's actually pretty low. It's not that bad. So, anyway, something to consider. You know, when you're at the pawn shops, take a look at these kind of things, because no one really goes into a pawn shop looking for these things anyway. They want GoPros. Whoa. This thing made a noise. They want GoPros. They want, you know, cameras and point and shoots, but not many people go for these anymore. Things are basically all in cellular phones these days. So when pawn shops have them, they're typically dirt cheap. Flip Video or Flip Mino HDs, that's what they're called. They make thinner versions of these as well. But definitely go check those out when you're at a pawn shop. They'll almost always be in a clearance case, and it's a good place to start if you want to maybe crack into a pawn shop and take a look at things to sell. There also are model numbers on these. I forgot how my brother figured it out, but there's definitely one here. I think when you open it, which he knows everything about this, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything, because I used to mess with these, but not anymore. Okay, so here's how it opens, and then the model number is right here, model U1120. So there we go. Some of the other ones that I've messed with, like the batteries are already built into the unit, and you don't put AA's in there. So, you know, pretty good turnaround right there. I bet you that sells within 2-3 weeks, something like that. Now, something interesting. Well, someone remind me at maybe the 30-minute mark. Okay, so what I want someone to do out there, I want someone to put a stopwatch or a timer for 25, maybe 30 minutes. I want someone to remind me about the really cool sale that we had yesterday in my SUV as we were on our way to watch the Super Bowl at our friend's house. So someone set a timer for 25 minutes or so, okay? Someone help me out in the feed. And then remind me in the chat, like, hey, talk about the Super Bowl, like win or sale, or you'll see. Okay, so let's talk about the next thing. These are both pawn shop finds. I'll go with this one first. This one was pretty incredible. I ordered the battery for it on Amazon already, so it should be here Wednesday or Thursday. Take a guess what it is. I ordered the battery on Amazon for it, okay? Think about it for a second. What do you think it is? Take a guess real quick. It's pretty freaking awesome, though. I found this at a pawn shop for, I don't even know if I want to tell you guys the buy price, because it was that good. Really, really good brand. Heavy. What do you guys think it is? So let me go into some of these. Hey, what's up, people? I see a lot of people in the feed right now. So if you're watching this after the fact, obviously there's no feed, but if you are lucky enough to watch this during the day when I film most of my videos, then you can, you know, kind of come by, stop by, say what's up. Okay, so people are guessing a lot of correct things. If I'm ordering a battery from Amazon, it means it's probably not a AAA, a AA at 9 volt or something like that. It's gonna be some sort of like weird battery, right? And typically weird batteries are found in nothing else but watches. Watches definitely have odd batteries. Bicycle lights sometimes have odd batteries, hearing aids. But this right here, look at this watch. Pretty sweet, right? Check it out. Look at the brand of that right there. You guys see that brand? Boom. Look at that brand right back there. So this is a 5130 Simplify, I want to say. God, I cannot believe this watch. Look at this thing. All right, this is a nice watch. It's made by Nixon. Nixon's a decent watchmaking company. They've been around for about a decade now, or maybe longer. They really kind of started hard in the surf scene, in surf stores. And since then, they've gone pretty mainstream, like all over the place. But just to give you kind of a context of how big this watch really is. All right, here's my wrist. And look at this. You can kind of tell now that this is not some small watch, right? I mean, it is gigantic. So here's my wrist, and this is the watch. And you can just see it's bigger than any watch I've ever owned. It probably weighs about a pound or two. It's that heavy. So yeah, it's a Nixon 5130, right? I think that's what it's called, 5130. Yeah, it's a 5130 Simplify. So it's got the white face on it, right? It's not one of the first gen ones, I don't believe. But anyways, this one right here had a clearance tag for, it's sitting right here actually. So when you go into a pawn shop, I think it's this one. Maybe it's not this one. This is for something else. Okay, never mind. This is for the next find. But anyways, I had a clearance tag for $35 on it, $35. I was like, dude, really? For 5130? That's pretty crazy. So, of course, they were like, you know, if you go in on a rainy Saturday, I mean, these guys are desperate to make some deals. They got to make some weekly numbers or daily numbers. But anyways, they got to make numbers. So they're like, you know, I can't. The guy was like, I was like, here's the thing about reselling. The person who says the first price usually loses. So when someone goes, what, you know, what's your offer? Or what do you want to pay for it? I'm always like, dude, like, what's the best that you can do, right? A pawn shop's almost always negotiable, except in the scenarios when it's brand new on the floor, just came out of the bag. Typically, they can't even work in the tax for you sometimes. But this one clearly has been there for a while. Now, I don't know for a fact. I have seen some of the hands move. None of the hands are off or floating around somewhere on the watch. And I pressed a button and one of the little timer things started clicking. So I was like, you know what? This kind of looks like a situation where the battery is basically dead and it has just a little bit of charge to like move the keys in the hands a couple times, but after that it dies. And I was thinking in my head, like, I just need to order a battery. And the funny thing is the battery that goes in this watch is like super freaking small. It's like the size of a eraser head on a pencil. It's like ridiculously small for a watch this big and this heavy, right? So I was thinking a couple things. I was like, you know, in worst case scenario for parts and repair, it's probably going to sell for like 50 to 80 bucks on eBay. But in best case scenario, if it works when I put this new battery in, which I'm only going to be like $3 into, and I have the watch tool too to back off this part right here. I already have one of those. Then, you know, maybe the watch is going to be worth 100 to 180 or something like that. So it's got a really clean face to it, but that's what's going on in my head. Okay. So when I am looking at these watches, I am definitely searching for loose hands or hands that have popped off. I'm testing out all these little screw things right here. This thing's water resistant to 300 meters. Okay, so this stuff is built really nicely. I mean, it honestly feels like my father's Rolex. It's really nice and heavy, but you got to be thinking those kind of things. So guess what I bought this thing for? Take a guess what I bought it for. It's going to take too long to get guesses in. But anyways, from $34 plus tax, I was like, look, I'm looking for a watch today, which is total BS. But anyways, I was like, I'm looking for a watch today. I don't want to spend more than 20, 25 bucks. I was like, I could do 20. And if you guys can even do that, I'd be really interested. Sold it to me for $20, 20 bucks. Okay. So out the door, I paid $21.76. That's pretty nuts if you think about it, right? So 21 bucks for 21. Unreal for a Nixon 5130. So yeah, battery comes in. I'll put it in there. It takes 2 seconds. And that'll be the end of that one, right? You know, go on eBay after that. I've already taken my pictures for it. Everything's ready to go. Just got to make sure that the thing works. Now, if it doesn't work, like I said, 50 to 80 bucks, you know, in a non-working condition, still, it's a great hustle. It's small, right? It's not going to be a first-class rate because this thing weighs a good amount. But still, to ship it off, it's probably like $5 or so because it's going to be such a small package that yeah, it'll be really cheap. Maybe I'll strap it to a DVD or a book and I'll send it like media mail. Just kidding. Okay, that was a joke. All right, seriously, like don't do that kind of stuff. But let me show you something else that I found at a pawn shop that was right down the road. That was pretty good. What do you guys think that'll sell for? A 5130 Simplify with a white face 5130, like Nixon watch. What do you guys think? You know, do you think I'm kind of around there, 100 to 180, something like that? It's a pretty good turnaround though. So that's, you know, that definitely goes in with my philosophy of Road to 200. Now, if you're new to this channel, Road to 200 is my thing I'm working on this year. Basically 200 super high quality listings with a 20 or 30% sell-through rate by the end of the month. So I'm going to continuously work through this all year long. And that's the key, is to try to get as high sell-through rate with as few items as possible, super quality items that, yeah, super quality items that are just churning and burning. Man, they're going fast as I can get them. But the actual amount that I'm looking for, the base amount that I'm looking to walk with on a profit sense, after all the fees, shipping, and everything's taken out of the picture, is $50 on each item. So it trains my mind to look for much more high quality items. It feels good to be challenged mentally, you know, like not just pick run of the mill items and make $3 here, $5 there. I'm not in the business to do that kind of stuff. To me, I'd much rather just abandon reselling altogether if that was me, right? That's just not something that I like to do. But what I do like to do is challenge my mind a lot. What I do like to do is be able to walk into any place and be able to find something or a couple things or 5 things that yield me $50 or more in pure profit, $50 or more. Okay, so some of that or more could be 100, 200, and in the case of something that you'll see here soon, some of this stuff can be pretty big, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's talk about this next item real quick, which I did find in a pawn shop, okay, which was right before another thrift store that we went to. So like I said, we were in pawn shop mode, thrift store mode, Austin, Texas, 40 or 50 degree weather, raining in the morning, all the garage sales are gone. No one wants to open up their garage sales. So I had to switch up our mode considerably. So I got into, this is what I found next. I wonder if I paid full for this or not. So here's one of the things that was in a clearance case, and the person was like, yeah, we can't really work any deals on that. It's at the rock bottom. And I was like, damn. So I was like, even if I, offer 20, they're like, no, like that's really the rock bottom at that point. If not, we're going to take it to another store. That's what we do with our clearance stuff. If they don't sell every month, we rotate it, right? Another store gives us their clearance stuff. We take our clearance stuff, we bring it to another store, and it just gets exposed to different markets in the city. So this is the tag of the item that I bought right here. Hey, thanks, Aaron. I really appreciate that, man. We got Aaron Clues from the green room saying, smash the sub button, kids. That's right. Thanks, Aaron. I really appreciate that. So yeah, right here, it says Saito Hobby Motor, okay? $28.88. This was in the clearance case. Let's look at some of the previous prices. This was, to make a clearance case, you have to have these really cool neon numbers, but it was $28.88 at one point, and when it first went out on the floor, it was $159.95. So that's a good sign right there. Means they've done some research for me, but I still researched it on the spot when they weren't looking, of course. So what is it? What does a hobby motor look like? A Saito hobby motor? Well, it's for an airplane, first of all, and it's really weird looking. So if you ever see stuff like this, and it's dirt cheap at a garage sale, or it's extremely cheap at thrift store or whatever, pick it up, okay? Because it's really hard to go sour on these items. It's super, super hard. A lot of these items are going to have the displacement on there or some sort of a model number that will allow you to look at it and look it up on eBay and see what a comp would sell for, or see what a broken one would sell for, an untested one. And this one's untested. I'm not going to go ahead and test it. But this is what a Saito FA82 looks like. This is an airplane motor with a muffler, right? This one comes with muffler, which they usually don't. And then you buy the muffler separately. So that's what it looks like, right? It's really actually a beautiful motor. Check that out. I mean, look at this. Freaking sweet. And the carburetor's sitting back here. This is the carburetor, believe it or not. That's what a carburetor looks like for a model airplane. You get a little servo arm right here that opens and closes the amount of airflow that goes through it. The carburetor, gets two screws right here, which are not here. So I did definitely, when I took my eBay pictures, I separated the two, I took 12 really good pictures of this, and I described what it felt like when I turned the crankshaft, which is right here. So every hobby motor, whether it's going to be a nitro car or an airplane, is going to have a crankshaft, a definite place where a glow plug goes, which is typically up here. And some of them that you hustle will have the glow plug in them, right? Which is basically the equivalent of like a spark plug. They're going to have a cooling head of some sort, a muffler if you're lucky, right? On RC grade, typically mufflers are much larger than this with airplanes too. So this is definitely one of the shorter ones that I found. But a mint, or new Saito motor will go for $300 to $400. You definitely want to describe what it feels like when you're turning the crankshaft. So when I turn the crankshaft, I feel, it's relatively easy. And a lot of times if you're looking for good compression, it would turn easy, then it would get hard for a second, turn easy, then get hard for a second, right? And this is basically just the piston moving up the sleeve. But it should typically get easy then hard, easy then hard. So when I'm turning this around, it's easy then hard, but it's a lot of easy, right? So I have to describe that when I put that in the listing. I say I found it at an estate sale, which I didn't. I found it in a pawn shop or whatever. It really doesn't matter at that point. Really good pictures. I mean, this one's actually awesome because cosmetic condition. And I thought it was a really good find. For $28.88 plus tax, I walked out the door like $31 with a Saito motor, which I believe is probably worth between $100 and $200 pretty quickly. So pretty nice. We'll see if I get that, but I'm pretty sure I will. I even think a messed up one without the muffler, maybe even without the carb that needs to be rebuilt, is right around $100. So this one definitely has the muffler. It has the carb with it. Still probably needs to be rebuilt, but I thought it was a stellar deal. So you see this kind of stuff, definitely think twice, look at it and go, okay, what kind of identifying numbers do I have on this? This one's an FA82. You can see right there. And if you're lucky enough, you can find the displacement. Sometimes that has a number. It might be like 40 or 20, or says something like OFNA, for example. Type all those things in and put it into eBay, sort by highest, kind of get a relative gauge on where the spread is, and then take a look at the price. Typically, when you're at a garage sale and you see these things, they're just kind of laying around, they're dirty. They could be like $1 to $5. I mean, it's like the most incredible risk ever. I have never, to this day, ever had a sour RC motor deal ever. So, and it's not because I know how these things work, because I don't ever mess with airplanes. I messed with RC nitro cars back in the day, but not airplane stuff. So I still have been very successful at selling model airplane engines without even knowing like how to hook them up, or like I know how they work, but I don't know how to hook them up or any of that kind of stuff. So can't imagine it's too hard, but something to look forward to, right? So when you're out there, there's another tip for you. If you see stuff that looks like that, really think hard about picking it up, especially if it's a good deal. Okay. Oh yeah, and Thriller Gorilla Picker says, hey, just to make sure the rings on the piston are good. Yeah, and that's one of those things that those people that are going to buy this are going to be like, all right, it's sold as is. Like, they're basically going to take off the cooling head. They're going to look at everything, and they're going to figure out the piston rings. If it's shot, they're going to figure out. I mean, if it's running pretty, if the shaft is pretty good. I mean, the crank arm is going to be probably pretty decent. It's just, yeah. I mean, compression. Those piston rings are definitely going to be essential to the compression of this motor. Absolutely essential. So you can find out that this is spinning pretty good right here. So I'm pretty sure that the compression is shot, but they are rebuildable. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Thriller Gorilla Picker saying, just blow it out. 90 plus shipping, quick flip, turn it quick. Boom. Yeah, I thought it was pretty sick, huh? Maybe we'll see. Maybe I will. Thriller Gorilla Picker says, people with model planes spend big bucks. They do. Model plane motors completely trump RC nitro truck and car motors all day. I mean, they're just a little bit more complex. Some of them can be radial based, which I don't even want to explain that. Just look it up on Google. Radial motor, RC airplane. I mean, just some crazy things, but they command really, really big values. So anyways, okay. And someone's talking about glow plugs, which are basically the spark plugs. But yeah, you can even get old glow plugs, and some of those are worth some good money. Not old ones, but old, new NOS, new old stock. But check it out. Pretty nice. All right, so what else do I have to show you guys? Here's something that Emerson picked up at a Goodwill. A puzzle for $4 that's going to yield about 8 or 10, a decent rank. So something like this, pick it up, take a look at it. It's going to Amazon. Here's Rummikub right here. I think that's why you say it, Rummikub, whatever. $4 game, probably going to yield an extra $6. He's going to send it off to Amazon, one little sticker on it. Boom, that's done. Something just to always make some extra money. I mean, it's just literally, you don't even have to stick a sticker on these things. You can commingle this inventory these days, and there's like zero work. You literally just put it into a box. So now I'm going to show you guys the best thing here. Okay, so this is going to be pretty cool. Yeah, this is going to be like super awesome. So I was on Let Go 3 or 4 days ago. Okay, and I was just looking for. This is the time, so like I own a boat, right? It's not like a great boat or anything like that. It's just a ski boat. So Austin's got lakes, and everyone has like ski and wakeboard boats. So I have a ski/wakeboard boat. And there's a lot of money to be made in lake sports. When I first started out reselling, I started out with reselling bicycles, right? But I quickly within like the first couple months, like moved into lake sports, because at that time, 12 years ago, I had a boat as well. I had my first boat, which was not a super aeronautique, but it was an aeronautique, which is actually a good brand, right? But the boat, I bought it for $17,300 in the month of February. I lowballed somebody that needed to get out from under the boat because of tax reasons, or because tax season was coming up. So it was like a $20,000 boat. I offered $17,000 and said no. I said, okay, well, $17,300 is the best I can do. And I was like, dude, that's like a really good deal. So I bought my first boat 12 years ago for $17,300, and it had like 140 hours or something on it, which, if you guys don't know what that means, or gals, like, boats don't go by miles like cars do. Like, how many miles are on your car? 100,000 miles. That's bad, right? No. boats go with hours. So as the boat is turned on and the motor is turning, it's counting hours, right? So I bought my first boat with about 100 and was it 100, 120 or 140 hours, something like that. I used it for 2 years. Okay, 2 years, every single weekend for 2 years, except with the exception of usually 2 cold months. Okay, so 2 cold months, I took the oil out and everything like that because it would freeze sometimes. I didn't want it to block to crack. I took all the water out of it, but yeah, I didn't use it for 2 months out of every year. Outside of that, I nearly use it every single weekend, unless I was on vacation or something. So every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Friday evenings typically, Saturday mornings, all the way till evenings, and then like Sunday mornings all the way till the afternoons, because then I had to like put it back to the slip and everything like that. So I put a lot of hours on it, right? When I sold the boat, I think it had 400, was it 480 or five something? It was a lot. Um, and in 2 years, I had put in a considerable amount of hours on it. I was getting ready to start an MBA program, right? And when I recently come out of an injury that occurred on that boat, not because of the boat, because I was wakeboarding and I did some stupid trick and it just pulled my muscle in a weird way. And so I was thinking in my head, like, this is the peak of summer. I have this injury. It sucks. The kind of injury that like really made it hard to like get in and out of a car. Like my back was completely like just twisted and just felt just ripped. It just didn't feel that great. So like that was coming on. I knew that in the month of September, like my MBA school was going to start. And so I made a decision in August of in 2 years later, after owning the boat and buying it for 17,300 to list it. And I actually sold it with all those hours on, all that fun and all that fun in the sun and learning an amazing sport of wakeboarding, tubing behind it, like just having the best time on this boat. Sold it for $17,300. So that just goes to show you, if you time things correctly, that you can have amazing experiences in life just by buying things, timing it just perfectly based upon seasonality. And that was just a prime example of something I'd done in the past that worked out perfectly fine. So I found myself on Let Go 3 or 4 days ago, and I always look for wake surfboards, things that can just boost my skills for the next season, which I'll be on my boat starting March and probably will be off my boat in December or something like that. So I'm doing the whole 8 to 10 months on the lake kind of thing again, and we're raking up the hours on this boat for sure. But I'm always looking for boards and things to improve my skills. And so I go to Let Go, I go to Craigslist, I go to OfferUp, and I'm looking for underpriced items that I can either flip or use for a season and then flip again. So I was looking for wakeboard, wake surf. I look for great brands like Ronix, O'Brien. I look for CWB stuff. I mean, I just like rifle through these listings, and I take a look for underpriced things and verbiage where I know someone's desperate to get out from under something. And so I came upon this one thing that I believe was kind of miscategorized, or the keywords weren't correct, but I typed in wake, and all it said was like amazing speakers, wakeboard boat. That's all it said. Like it didn't even have the brand or anything. But when I saw the speakers on the picture, I knew exactly what they were. I was like, oh my God, I know exactly what that speaker is. So if you have a wakeboard boat, they typically have a cage, right? Or a tower is what it's called. But essentially what it is an extension of the boat that's usually metal or aluminum that goes around the boat. And typically you can put a bimini top on it, which will shade the boat driver and some people that are inside the boat. Or and or it's used for like putting a rope a little bit higher. So when you do air tricks, you get more air, right? But that's what a tower is for. And it's also a place where you can store the boards higher and out of the way of the passengers that are in the boat. And it doesn't need to be inside the boat in some cavity or anything like that. It's actually on the tower, sitting kind of like horizontally, vertically, whatever. But the speakers are typically on the tower, and the speakers are really meant for the rider to hear the music, not so much the people in the boat, because the trajectory of the sound is on the tower, shooting behind the boat, going over the boat's deck. I mean, the boat's bow. Sorry, the back part of the boat, whatever that is. That's not the bow, but anyways, and it hits the rider. Okay, so there's these two speakers on the market. One is called, I mean, the two best speakers that anybody will tell you that a wakeboard boat you'll always see, and they're expensive as hell. Okay, one's called Rev 10, one's called Rev 8. They're made by a brand called Wet Sounds, which is really, really good audio that can get wet. Okay, it's marine grade audio, and it's good music it's good stuff for the lake. Is it the most crisp and amazing stuff? No, but it's no, you know, super awesome MB quartz or anything like that. But it's really good stuff that'll go year after year, deliver good sounding music. And if you happen to get a Rev 10, those speakers, I think brand new, are somewhere around $1,500 to like $2,000 for a pair without an amplifier. Okay. But they do come with the clamps that put it on the tower. Okay. So, and they make a model called the Rev 8, which is good for pushing sound 80 feet behind the boat. All right. So 10 pushes sound 100 feet behind a boat. And those come with clamps as well. They're on Amazon right now, brand new, $1,200. So on this Let Go thing, or whatever it was called, it was a Let Go offer. Let Go. On this Let Go thing, it just says like awesome wakeboard speakers. That's it. And I saw these speakers. So this is what a Rev 8 looks like. And I told you it was going to be something big, but check this out. All right. So this is a Wet Sounds Rev 8. And I'm pretty proud of this one because they're expensive. I've always wanted them on my boat, honestly. And I saw this ad for awesome wakeboard speakers, a pair of them for $200. $200. So naturally, I'm thinking a couple things. These don't work. They're stolen. There could be a lot of things going on here. But as long as I don't know the real true story behind them, I'm okay with that. If they are stolen and I don't know about it, that's not really my deal. And it's not my deal to like be the cops or like figure out the story behind it. It's just not my deal. My deal is I'm the guy with the money and I do want to put these on my boat. So I bought them. And lo and behold, I had to go kind of into like farmland, rural town next to Austin, Texas, called Manor. I bought these speakers off a guy that worked in the car wakeboard boat industry, like stereo industry thing. And he was like, yeah, I swear they work perfectly, like 100%. They're great. Cosmetically, you know, probably like 80%, but they're still amazing speakers. So cool. These are going to end up on my boat. And the crazy part, and here's the kicker, the whole story. Not only did I talk the guy down to $150 cash, but as I rolled up to the house, there were not only a pair of these, there was an extra pair of these sitting there that he threw in. So yeah, I was like, dude, you got to be kidding me. So yeah, that's what it is. They're super heavy. I mean, this thing probably weighs 40 pounds, presumably because, I mean, the casing is pretty strong. It's amazing. But the magnet on the back of the woofer inside is probably gigantic. So this is what a Rev 8 looks like. A Rev 8 will push sound 80 feet behind a boat. So if a person's back there wakeboarding with a line that's like fully out, I mean, you can crank these speakers. But here's the thing about these speakers. You need to amplify them. So boats that typically run Rev 8s and stuff like that will have dual amplifiers. Our boat has dual amplifiers. And one of the amplifiers is literally like strictly for the tower itself. And that one is gonna power this. So I'm really proud of this because it's a great hustle. It just shows you, you know, the power of knowing good quality stuff and just seeking out certain keywords to find underpriced goods on either Craigslist, Let Go, or OfferUp. And seasonality plays into this one because here I am in the month of, you know, February looking for stuff for wakeboarding season, which doesn't really start until like 3 or 4 months from now. But that's how I do it. Like in the heat of summer, I'm looking for snowboard stuff, right? Because I can get dirt cheap. I can get the baddest snowboards on earth for like 75% off because the timing is just so amazing. Like nobody wants to buy a snowboard for their personal use. And I would buy one for my personal use. I would use the hell out of it. And I would sell it for either what I paid for it or just a little bit less. And essentially you're renting this amazing thing that you can progress on for basically nothing, right? So that's what's going on behind that. Plus, if a person, and if and when, which we'll probably sell our boat in like a year or two, when that boat sells and the people look in the pictures, they go, okay, this is a cool boat. This is a cool boat. Oh, this one's actually really cool looking. Oh, it's got Rev 8 speakers on it. Dude, like we want that one, right? So that's the reason, that's another reason why we wanted to get into these, is because, I mean, they're just going to increase the value of the boat considerably. So anyways, that's what it is. I know I explain a lot of things, over-explain things, but honestly, if you are to walk up into a garage sale, thrift store, whatever, you're never going to find that at a thrift store. But if you go to a garage sale or an estate sale or some sort of rummage thing and you see that, I want you to be able to know, like, oh, okay, cool. I think that's what Bonafide was talking about. You get a little ruler out and you go, okay, this is measuring about 8 inches. So I know this is a Rev 8 because I know I saw it on Bonafide's channel. And I'm pretty sure with my subscriber count being 28 or 29,000, someone that watched this video is going to eventually find something like this and go, okay, that's a wakeboard speaker. I saw the clamp and everything and the housing. So yeah, anytime you see speakers, typically there's really not many times where wakeboard speakers are going to be pretty cheap. I mean, so if you find the clamp that goes on the bar, you got the speaker, they're easy to test. They're just like any other speaker. You're going to have a receiver with some sort of a power to test them out. But I think it's going to be pretty sweet. Yeah, Joe Molina says, so you got 4 speakers for 150 bucks? Yeah, I got 4 of those. They're used, but I got 4 of those speakers for 150 bucks, which 2 of them, I don't need to put all 4 on my boat. If I did, it would probably just blow everyone's ears off. But I'm going to put 2 on my boat, and 2 are going to go to eBay. And those 2 that are going to go to eBay are going to be priced somewhere between 300 and like 500 bucks. So you can get refurbished ones on eBay for 800 or like 700, I want to say. Those are factory refurbs. So I'm going to put mine on for 300 to 500. I think that's pretty reasonable. So we'll see. Now, they might not sell for a couple months because seasonality, you know, but the second season starts turning, someone might just be like, dude, we got to get some Rev 8s for this boat. And they go, what are they costing on Amazon? Oh, shoot, $1,200. Oh, that's too expensive. What's a refurb costing? Oh, $800. Dude, that's crazy. And then they see my ad and they go, wow, these are here for, you know, $300 or $500. It's just like a no-brainer decision, right? Now, the other ones that I am going to put on eBay, the grills are a little sun damaged. That doesn't really matter that much because you can just 4 screws, take the grill off, spray paint them, and do whatever you need to them, and then put them back on. They're just perfectly fine. So anyways, just something to consider. Anyways, yeah, I was like so blown away. Anyways, so here's a comment from Eric Bressy. There's a guy that I know that when he needs a tool, he buys it, he uses it, then he sells it right away for like $5 or $10 for what he paid new. That's cool. So yeah. Rudy R says, the other day I bought a Hublot watch for a really good price. That's cool. Hublots are great. Matt Jackson, I found some ski boat speakers this weekend that someone was throwing out, those that hang on the bar or the tower. Holy cow. Someone was throwing them out in Terrytown. Wow, I hope that's Austin, Texas. I'll PM you some pics on Facebook. Cool, I'll help you decode what those things are. I can help you out. Thriller Gorilla Pika says, these speakers are basically the Bose of the lake. Yeah, if you go to any lakes across America, you're going to see the Rev 8 and the Rev 10 on the best boats, right? That's just typically how it is. The best boats, they all know that if you want a super awesome sounding stereo that you can literally crank to the moon, the speakers that can handle that are going to be Rev 8s and Rev 10s. So I asked the guy like how much wattage was going to each speaker, and he told me 250 watts was going to each speaker. And the amp that I have that's going to drive these things is only like 400 by 4. I can bridge it to 2, maybe. So I might put 200 into each channel. I don't know yet, but that's a lot. But for you not to understand, for sound to travel 80 feet behind or 100 feet behind, I mean, it needs to really, really be amplified. So anyways, I'm probably going to do the install myself as well. Okay, so that's pretty much that. What else we got to talk about? I showed you a bunch of cool stuff on the last show. So, okay, so I think we're at the 25-minute mark, maybe the 30-minute mark. I was supposed to tell you guys a story about something I picked up. Okay, so weekend before, E-Money and I, rainy day again, or no, 2 weeks ago, because the weekend before last, we were camping. So 2 weeks ago, we were at a Goodwill, and we're just finding, deals here and there, whatever. And we come across this old PC game called Ultima, I want to say. And this old PC game was wrapped and everything. It was cool, $10. It has the box and everything. It's just, it's old because it's got like that early 01, like late 90s kind of artwork to it. Don't know what kind of game it is. If it's probably an MMORPG / strategy game or something like that. We buy it, and we looked at the comps, and the comps are like, showing that it's pretty long tail because only like a couple sell in 90 days. So Emerson takes his pictures and everything like that. Like the other day, he took his pictures, and then while we were traveling to the Super Bowl party last night, he goes like, what should I price these at, whatever? And I was like, well, there's not many there. He's like, some are selling for around 100, but they're used and stuff. He's like, I'm just gonna put it at 200 or best offer. And so he puts it for 200 best offer. He drags and drops his 12 pictures in while we're in the car, right? And we're in the SUV, like he's listing on eBay, I'm driving. And it's crazy. So he takes great pictures. He has a little light box thing. And within 5 minutes, there's an offer. All right. So he listed it for $200. Within 5 minutes, there's an offer. I couldn't believe it because this is like a long tail item. 5 minutes, an offer for $179.99 comes in. He took, or 175 or something like that. Anyways, he takes it. I couldn't believe it, so we split that one. But anyway, just goes to show you that when you deal with mid or long tail items, there's just nothing telling that someone out there doesn't have like a search bot or something going on eBay or Craigslist. And the second that game comes up in pristine, unopened condition, it alerts their phone, their bot, whatever, and they just get a notification. They go, "Oh my God, like here's another amazing game that came up." And those ever, they never come up new. They're always used. So dude bought it like right on the spot. I couldn't believe it. So anyways, yeah, that's just one of those things where I try not to get into super long tail items, but if the market shows that there's a ridiculous amount of money to be made at the long tail, then I'm going to want to get into that item for a really, really discounted, deep discounted price. And I thought $10 to eke out $100 or $200, so somewhere between $100 and $200, I thought was a great risk. So it's crazy that it took only 2 weeks, but yeah. Sorry, stupid phone. Actually, no, amazing phone. Actually, without my phone, I wouldn't be able to do anything. Squeeze-ons is saying, how much longer are you going to let your flow grow? Actually, I'm going to probably get it down to about here or something like that. So it's getting to the stage now where like the weight of the hair is actually starting to weigh down and stuff, which is cool, because the funky stage of growing out long hair if you're a male is, well, for me, it was probably like 2 months ago where the weight's not there. So it kind of does the whole like bell looking thing, which is really annoying. But now it's starting to like kind of get down, sorry. And it's fun. So that's the answer to that question. How many times do I list on eBay until I give up? I don't know if I can really answer this question. I list on eBay all the time, and I don't ever give up. There are times, and the Road to 200 thing that I'm doing this year is essentially a constant looking at my store and looking at my my purchase habits and making sure that both are aligned together. Like my store, I only want about 200 items in there. I think as of today, I have like 158, maybe 62. I don't even know at this point. But some of those need to be taken out. Like there's at least 20 or 30 items that really don't need to be in my store. So I'm going to take them out or slowly phase them out, which I've started to slowly phase out some. And in the past 2 weeks or 1 week, I've sold 2 of my crappy products that were like sub $40. So that was pretty good. I could have donated them and think maybe, it's probably a good idea. I didn't because I made money, but the idea of it is the idea of Road to 200, no matter how many listings that you have, if you have 50 listings, if you have 100, you have 2,000 listings, 1,000, is to really take a step back and really try to work on your business, then work in your business, okay? Like, yeah, work on it. You work in your business, you will never be able to leave your eBay business. Like, yeah, you can train some people, that's great, but in order to diversify your income, you really have to have the time to sit back and study something else and work on something else. And if you are drowning in your eBay business with $3 and $5 sales, maybe $10 sales, like it's gonna be tough for you to walk away unless you have a couple workers, that are like always there. It's gonna be hard for you to walk away from that. And then you'll be married to it too, which is kind of crazy because everyone knows that you're never supposed to have a lot of money wrapped up into any project. That's just the way it is. But if that's your mentality, that's okay. I'm just saying the Road to 200 to me is a way to bring way more energy into the project, to look at the business and really treat it like a business, make it fun, make it really short-term goal oriented. So, only look at, 20 to 30% sell-through rates, no matter how many listings you have in a month. And you can get 20 or 30% sell-through rate 2 ways. You can sell it. You can sell a bunch of items and have 1,000 items in your store, or you could also have less items in your store and sell a ton of items too, and you can get to 20 and 30 that way. But essentially, finding out what you're worth per item, for what you're listing it, what you're buying it for, and everything like that, and really trying to get like a much more premium based store where people really look at your item and they find other items and they go, you know what, like this one's really good. Like the condition of this one's good. Your price is competitive. You've done a lot of things right. Your keywords are on point. Your pictures are good enough. And that's what it's all about. We're finding the right kind of items that have good markets, but aren't saturated markets where somebody can buy your item and go, it's not what I thought. Like, just sell it back, and then there's like 300 other ones to go after on eBay. It's okay if there's 300 choices and the average item price is $100 and you're only in it for $5. But if there's 300 choices and you're into the item for 25 cents and the average selling price is $15, yeah, that's probably not a good idea over time. Repeating that over time, you'd be like, isn't that the greatest thing to do? Well, if it's a one-man operation, you're probably drowning in that business, because for me, I just want to get two on average, 1 to 2, actually two, that's what I'm really shooting for, 2 awesome sales a day just from eBay, not counting FBA, not counting Craigslist stuff, not counting any of that stuff, just eBay. Um, two items sold a day that yields me 50, or one item that yields me 100 pure profit, something like that. Or if I sell an item a day and it yields me $200 or $300 in profit, for example, then I can safely assume like maybe the next couple of days it could be a little bit slower. We'll see. But it's a fun project to work on, and I'm not going to put any more than like 16 hours a week into it. So there's the kicker, really, to the story, is I really don't want to work in my business that much. I want to work on my business. I do not want to work in it. So everything is super streamlined, down to my lunches. Like my lunches after I come back from a coffee shop and I work on some projects, I come home, I make a freaking super awesome breakfast. But I take that breakfast and I go into my garage with it. And instead of eating and watching YouTube videos on things that I really enjoy to watch, I'm like, you know what? That's the easy way out. Like I'm actually going to eat, package up whatever sold for the day, and I'm going, not package up, but I'm going to pull it from my box wall, get it ready. I'm going to also take pictures of all the stuff that don't have pictures taken yet, and then I'm going to box that stuff up, unless a show like this comes around where I have to talk to you guys about it. But that's essentially what's going on in my head. Like, I'm trying to really streamline it to, I have working lunches going on, so that's cool. And no more than like 16 hours a week. So if you're down for Road to 200 and the concept of Road to 200, let me know in the comments below. Shoot me a Facebook message. But that's really what it is. It's to just not so much go against the grain that I see in the YouTube community, but more or less provide you the insight and why I'm doing this for myself, and why people like me, college picker, find it to be really the right way to do it, honestly. But you could argue that there's really no way to do it. If you really want to just work on your eBay business all day and night, that's fine. Like, that's up to you. Someone like me, someone like Eric, someone like Steve Rakin, for example, we like to work on multiple income streams. And I think a lot of people want to do that, and a lot of people don't know how to get there. And one of the easiest ways to get there is to look at your current problem and to evaluate it and see how you can improve on that, so it can free up some more time so you can work on the next stream. That's essentially it. So anyways, yeah, the YouTube community is amazing. I've been here for 5 years making videos. No one ever told me to make videos. I made videos at the kindness of my heart, and eventually at some point I figured if I could have enough followers, then people would see me as an asset and value, and they would follow anything that I get involved with, whether it was a book, a paid Facebook group, meetups, whatever. They'd be like, all right, he's made enough like free videos, like he probably knows what he's talking about. And that was kind of like the original strategy behind the whole thing. It's to share enough information to where one day, if I wanted to be a teacher of it, I could, because I've always wanted to teach it. And yeah, so that's what's going on. But even a teacher is always working on something. Like me, last year, Road to 200 was just like, well, whatever. You're like, I just want to sell cool things on eBay, but no big deal. Not really looking at it for what the opportunity really was. eBay is such an amazing opportunity that, unlike Amazon, has really, really stayed the same over many, many years. And Amazon's just done nothing but get bigger and larger and wants to rule the world, and that's great. But like, with that comes a lot of restrictions and a lot of changes and a lot of fees going up, and just gets nuts, right? With eBay, I don't even think so much that the fees go up. Yeah, you deal with like USPS going up here and there, but that's really it. Everything else is pretty much find really amazing items, sell them used, broken, new, but as long as they're really amazing with really, really good markets, it's a no-brainer. It's really easy to do this. It's not hard. What makes it hard is challenging yourself to get the optimal store that rewards you for your time completed. And for me, I'm like, dude, that's the fun part, is doing 16 hours a week, trying to eke out $2,000 to $3,000 a month in profit. Like, that's fun to me. To chase that, it's really, really cool. So anyways, Ben Langenberg is saying never smaller fees, LOL. eBay, to me, I just haven't seen many. Like the store fees, I don't see them getting raised and getting nuts. Final value fees don't really seem outrageous. If you assume that between PayPal or whatever the new processor is now, but PayPal and eBay final value fees is somewhere around 13%. If you just calculate 13% in your head, like, that's good. And then if you know where depending on where you live and your experience with eBay shipping, you kind of figure out like what to price the shipping at, or roll it into your free, items price as free shipping. Then that's not that hard either. USPS prices going up. Okay, so big deal. You can't control it, but it's really nothing crazy. Like, it goes up 10 cents or 20 cents. And I feel it's kind of funny when people go, are you going to adjust all your items prices because the prices went up 10 cents or 20 cents or 50 cents? To me, that's like the last of my worries. The largest part of my worries is to find the inventory that belongs in that store. That's the biggest problem. And a good problem to have too is like selling items too fast, like College Picker has. And so, like me, sometimes like I feel as if that's a really good problem to have, where you start selling and it's hard to get to your 200 mark, for example, or whatever mark you're trying to get to. That's a perfect problem to have, where you're having trouble because the items that you're finding are selling too quickly, right? That's the best problem to have. But outside of that, I feel as if eBay is very predictable and you can do very well at it if you actually take the time to look at it for what it's worth as an opportunity. Amazon's a little bit more complicated. So anyways, got Jim Pagan in the house. What's up, Jim Pagan? He came to our green room meetup number 2, which is at the Salt Lick. I think you brought your daughter too. It was good to see you, Jim. I think you're in Austin, so hit me up. Let's get a ride along going, man. Rudy Briones, are the fees going to get smaller on eBay? Like I said, to someone like me, I don't worry about the fees. I think they're very minuscule to the big picture, right? Do I like Etsy? I have like one item on Etsy, one. It's just too many things to do. I'm gonna have to involve a VA if I want to do some serious cross listing. So I have one item on Etsy. I'm just trying it out. It's not a big deal. It's just a stupid project I messed with like a month and a half ago. I don't really care right now to mess with it because I have an antique booth too, which I saw today, and it's actually doing pretty good. So anyways, Etsy would just be one more avenue. I don't know if I could handle one more avenue, honestly. Thriller Gorilla Pickup. Cool thing about eBay is you're always learning. I get blown away on researching. Yeah, it's a history lesson for sure. Yeah, anytime that you just research for fun, you learn so much just by doing that. And I'm going to definitely doing some research-based shows on my channel soon too. So you should like that. G. Jasso, Chris, I thrifted some New Balance Minimus with Vibram soles. Are you familiar with those running shoes? Yes, they're actually the name is because they're kind of a minimalist shoe with a very thin sole. The markets for those now have kind of eroded from the $50 mark. I used to, like, 2-3 years ago, be able to sell those things for like 50 to 70 bucks a pair. But now it seems like they're somewhere around 30 to 50 a pair for resale values. So it's a good shoe that New Balance makes, but people have adopted it very well, and with that comes more saturation on eBay, and the prices have been driven down a little bit. So it's a great shoe though, like for personal use, it's good. But yeah, so that one's a really good one. I'm trying to think, what are we looking at here? Yeah, the New Balance Minimus is definitely one of their most successful shoes, and it has like a little perforated side to it. The bottom looks like a bunch of little circles and stuff. It's really neat. It's a really neat shoe, actually. $298. So if you paid $298, you get a USPS shoebox. You know, depending on where you live in America, you're gonna ship that thing out depending on what size it is, you might be able to actually fit that into a flat rate padded poly mailer, but it would have to be a really small size to get that in there. But mostly a USPS shoebox. The dimensions are like 15.86. I think that 15.87 maybe. Anyway, I think it's 15.86. I always put 15.86 in my stuff, but the USPS shoebox you can get for free on the site. You can get them in quantities of 10 or 25, free to your door, right? I made an order the other day, that's why I know. But that shoebox, put some padding on the bottom, throw the two shoes, invert the two shoes together, throw them down, padding on top, close the top, and that's it. That's essentially how easy it is to ship it. That box, to me, when I deal with that box, it goes out for about $861. I live in Austin, Texas. Yeah, $861 for that box. Usually, it's not a dedicated box. You still need to like weigh it out and everything, but typically it goes out for about $861. Rudy Briones, do you go after vintage cameras and lenses? Some point and shoots are going for major money. Yeah, I mean, I look at them and stuff. I know to look for certain like kind of bolo ones. I don't seek out to find them. If they just happen to be a part of a bag that I buy or something like that, I'm all stoked about it. But yeah, anyways, I don't go out of my way to look at it on Craigslist or look for keywords like that. Okay, what else we got here? All right, yeah, so a bunch of other good comments and stuff, tons of comments. I guess that's pretty much it. So anyways, we got 88 viewers in the house. I was going to answer a couple more questions. You know, I might hang around here for like one more minute. If you got any questions that are, you know, definitely related to the content that you've seen today, let me know. If you really enjoy the content, then make sure you hit the like button. That is super important because I look at metrics sometimes and I look at like the titles of the videos and like, all right, which one gets more likes than others? And then, you know, it dictates like, how should I make my cool thumbnail? Like all this stuff. Like, it's kind of stupid, but when I figure out that more people tune into something, I like try to repeat it, right? So let me know. And I'm literally about to like walk out of this office and get on my cargo bike and see if I can get to the mailman that's down the street. He's almost always down this one part of my neighborhood, so I see him like nearly every single day, and I like give him packages. But it's kind of funny because he knows me by name. Actually, his number, he's like really cool with me. He gave me his number sitting on the back of this thing right here. We all know what this slip is, but yeah, he was like, hey man, like if you ever need me to come by, or if you want to know where I am in the neighborhood, just text me. Like, so that's what happens when you actually see a mailman a million times. And then I got him a $20 in cash as a Christmas gift this year. It was pretty cool. I could have given a gift card, but I just gave him 20 bucks in cash. I was like, dude, get like 3 beers on me, man. So anyway, have I ever sold vintage fishing gear? I've sold a couple. I've definitely sold some vintage fishing rods. Sorry, I've sold some vintage fishing rods, and I've sold some vintage fishing lures, some head-end ones and things like that. But the rods, I really couldn't tell you what was so special about them. I've sold some bamboo rods. I've sold normal rods, no fly fishing ones, although I have one in my house for myself. The rods that did sell that were vintage, I put them in my booth. I stickered them up real quick, and then that was a pretty easy sale. They were gone at some point, but the lures, I believe I flipped the lures on eBay when I did lures. There was a time when I was looking into that kind of stuff, and those the fishing boxes, what are they called? There's like a name for these. This one, it's like steel fishing boxes. They're usually green. There's a name for them though. I forget it. But when I was in like my estate sale days, going to estate sales a bunch, like I would always look for this like thing, because if you typically found this one fishing box or model of boxes, inside were typically, it was a high chance it was going to be some decent lures inside. So, but I forgot what the name of that box is. It's green, it's made out of metal, and it's like, if you said it right now, like I would be like, yeah, I know that one. But there are a million things to resell, right? If I go to a garage sale and I see vintage fishing lures and they're not like spread out on a table with individual tags, like I'm gonna get pretty excited. But when I go to garage sales, sometimes I'll see vintage fishing lures and they'll be in bags, or they'll be, yeah, they're just not worth my time. And the brand is called Umco. It's not Plano, it's Umco. That's the one. Yeah. So anyways, definitely look for those. So yeah, they're called tackle boxes. But I should have said I knew that, but I did, but at the time I just didn't know how to describe it. So any other questions? Do you think Eugene, Oregon would be a good town to resell bikes? I haven't looked at the Craigslist for Eugene, Oregon, but typically anything in Oregon and typically anything in Washington would be pretty good to resell bikes. One of the guys that came up to me, Green Room Meetup number 3, he came up to me to sit by me at the Taco Deli table. We had a bunch of people at Taco Deli that year. I mean, I think we had like 60 something people, and this wasn't even like a peak day at the meetup week, but I don't think we bought tacos for everyone that day, but we had everyone assemble there. Anyway, so I'm just sitting there and I'm eating with some random members, and then this dude just like sits down in front of me, and he's like, dude, I just want to just thank you. And he's like, your bike knowledge is awesome. I got your guide and I actually put it to work. I live in, I don't know where it was in Seattle. I don't know where it is in Washington. Maybe it was somewhere in Washington. Maybe it was Seattle. But anyways, he was like, I just want to let you know I've made thousands off that book, like thousands. Like it's perfect for where I live. He's like, it's perfect. I find bikes all the time on the cheap, and I sell them as a premium on Craigslist. I hardly ever ship one off on eBay, just like your book said. It's freaking phenomenal. It's crazy money, like immediately, and it's never any returns. So anyway, so yeah, the name eludes me now who it was, but anyway, it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty awesome. What's the worst thing that you bought and was hard to sell? I know the answer to that one like immediately. There was this one like furniture wine cabinet looking thing. I bought it at a Salvation Army. This was when I was like highly into experimenting and I had a minivan for work that I could clear out in the evening times. I could take all the stuff out of it, and I could flatten all the chairs down, and I could take really, really big things, you know, to and from the house, sofas, love seats, sofas, chairs. I could take all kinds of like different furniture things, put it in my garage, like right where the garage door opens and closes. Like I would have it right there. And as soon as someone from Craigslist would want to see it, like I would open my garage, kind of like shove it outside real quick, close my garage so no one else saw what else I had in the garage, and then see if they would buy it. But one thing does come to particular into my mind, and that was a little wine cabinet thing. It was made out of solid wood. It was badass looking. It looked like it came, from somewhere in Mexico. It was really cool, and I bought it for I want to say 225 or something like that. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna sell this thing for 500. It's gonna go like nobody's business. It was like wrought iron, like front grill looking thing, and had like the lacy stuff going on with the wrought iron. It was just really neat, and it was solid. It was so heavy, and I ended up selling it for like 200 bucks, like after 3 months. And I started at 500, then I went to 480, and then like 460 and 440. And the funny thing is, somewhere around that like 460, 440 mark, someone offered me 400. And I was like, I'm not taking that. Like, that's stupid. And then that person, I never saw a person like that again. Like, no one ever offered me anything. And then I eventually just sold it for 200. And I was like, no more ever again of something like that. Like, never again. That was so stupid. And it smoked up not a whole lot of room in my garage, but enough to where it was annoying, because it was like every time I opened my garage, I would see the stupid thing. And it was just, I don't know, like never again. So that was definitely something. I picked it up at Salvation Army, $225. And that's with someone working a discount with me. And I was just thinking, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be great. And then just goes to show you that you do have to make your mistakes in the game. And a lot of times my channel, one of the primary goals of my channel is to like divulge a lot of the mistakes I have made so that you guys don't make them. So anyways, that was pretty funny though. Ben says, thanks, I need to up my bike game. Yeah, you should. Like, go check out Bikes to Bucks. If you're in the green room, go check it out. It's for free. It's sitting in there. If not, Ben, hit me up behind the scenes. Maybe I can hook you up with something. Okay, I guess that's pretty much it. Okay, so that's the last comment I want to address real quick. But thanks, guys, for checking out this show. You know what to do. If you like the content, you feel inspired by something, hit the like button, drop a comment. I can really, at this point, I cannot get back to all the comments. Like, I wake up like today in the morning, like I saw like a number 14 in my corner on YouTube. I checked it yesterday evening, and there was like a 4 there. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I can get back to some 4 messages. But then this morning I got like that much more, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, so there comes a time where I can't get back to all the messages, but I do read them. I really do. So if you're feeling inspired and stuff like that, don't think just because I didn't comment back or something that I don't care about you guys. It's just that there's only so much time in a given day, right? And it definitely gives me ideas for future videos, or it just gets me pumped up to like connect with you guys again. So I like all the comments. I read every single one of them, and it pumps me up to no end. I mean, it always makes me want to do better. So. And there's some hateful comments that come in every now and then, very, very rarely, but there's some, and they're kind of comical and they're pretty funny. And I don't ever change anything about myself when I see those things, but those come in sometimes, and they're kind of funny. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. I am gonna go get on my cargo bike right now. The sun just came out in Austin, Texas. There's kind of an overcast, crappy day, but now it's time to get these boxes into my bike and bring them down the street and see if I can find the mailman. So that's pretty much it, guys. I'll see you later, and I will try to stream tomorrow. Yeah, I love you guys. See you guys later.